Okay, a lot of people have asked me these days, should you be buying airline stocks because the price has gone down so much, or indeed e-commerce stocks like Netflix and other stocks, because obviously people are staying at home more now. So online based retailers and other players are doing better, right? More people are doing online education classes, buying things online, buying Netflix subscriptions and so on. So I'm going to answer that very clearly here. So when it comes to airline stocks, I would be very careful and much more careful than the e-commerce ones. Why is that? Now, the reason is very simple. In the financial crisis of 2008, 2009, the indexes recovered in about 3 years. And obviously somebody who had bought at the lows, they would have recovered much sooner. However, many people don't know this, but the banks have never come close to their previous highs in 2006, 2007, even though the market has. Yes, they bounced from the very, very lows, but they never even came close to matching their 2008 lows. Now, I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen with the airlines, but remember, especially with the political climate as it is now, there might actually be some rules about any kind of bailout of the airlines that basically shareholders can't benefit from that. So I would stay away from the airlines. That doesn't mean you might not win, but it's a pure speculation. If you buy an airline stock which is down by 60, 70%, or a cruise line or whatever, they get bailed out by the government. Yes, you might win, but by the same token, the stock could go to zero as part of that bailout package. And anyway, we don't know what will happen with that. Now, when it comes to the e-commerce companies like Netflix, like maybe even Apple to a certain extent, I know Apple will get affected more because obviously iPhone and whatever, it's a physical product, but they do have a lot of e-products as well. Also companies like maybe some of the online education companies or whatever that can do classes online. Those companies are obviously less risky at the moment compared to, say, the airline companies, because at the end of the day, Netflix is a great example, right? They have one product which can be bought online, and that's it, right? That doesn't mean they don't have any risks, right? Because of course, I'm sure they're working on this, but there's going to be staff working at home. They could obviously have problems indirectly because of the virus. If the economic impact gets worse, people will have less money. But at the end of the day, it's a cheap service, relatively speaking. People are staying at home. So of course, that's less risky than, say, the airlines. And indeed, I think e-commerce and companies that are 100% online, for obvious reasons, are more likely to grow, and actually at least maintain their position in the market, right? And we've seen the same in my industry, right? When I talk to providers in my industry, the online health insurance companies are doing better than the traditional ones. The online financial advisory companies, like what I'm doing, obviously are doing better than the traditional ones. And of course, online companies in any space are going to do better than traditional ones in this kind of environment. However, bear in mind that the risks of buying individual companies at the moment is even more than usual. In other words, it's always more risky to buy individual companies than the actual index, even in normal times. But times like 2008 and now probably even more so, even though the market hasn't gone down as much, it's even more risky. And I'll tell you why. There's more unknown unknowns and known unknowns. In other words, there's so many things that could affect individual stocks even more than normal. Netflix is a great example, right? Yes, they look very well positioned at the moment, but imagine if tomorrow morning there's an announcement that the top executives are all very ill because of the virus, whatever, something like that. Or even, for example, I don't know, the regulators step in, or it could be loads of reasons, but basically we're in very uncertain times. So nobody knows which firms are going to get bigger. Nobody knows which firms are actually, going to be on the index, on the Dow Jones, on the S&P in 10 or 20 years' time. So buying the indexes during these periods is even safer than in normal periods. But if you do want to buy a sector-specific ETF, I do think e-commerce is, for obvious reasons, very well placed.